We'll go ahead and get started with a call to order and roll call, please.
Councilmember Cardenas.
Cardenas.
Yo, you at the end there.
Councilmember Jackson.
Here.
Councilmember Silva.
Present.
Mayor Villegas-Walker.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Garcia is absent.
Okay, he'll be along shortly. At this time, if you could all please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, and I've asked Diana Moreno to come forward and lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, to be followed by the invocation by Councilmember Cardenas.
Put your right hand over your heart. Ready to begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Madam Mayor, I'm making audible here, but I've asked Jeff to do the invocation for us. Mr. Jeff?
Is that a lateral?
Oh, yeah.
You don't even know what I'm going to say. If you guys join me in prayer. Lord, I thank you again for just another day. I thank you for the city of El Centro and its leaders, Lord, and I pray that as we go through this meeting that we would keep our hearts and our minds on you, Lord, that you would guide and direct all that we do and say. We love you and thank you, and we ask these things in Jesus' name.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you, Diana. Thank you, Jeff, for being part of our meeting this evening. Okay, at this point in time, we will have our report from our city attorney. The El Centro City Council did meet in closed session today from 11:30 till about 1 o'clock. Ms.
Madam
Betsy?
Mayor, as you requested, let me provide an update on the city's efforts to remedy the issues with charter communications. First of all, as we briefly mentioned at the last meeting, we have filed an informal PUC complaint. We received a response that we should look to our customer service ordinances, which we are doing. We were also instructed by the PUC to file a formal FCC complaint. We have done that. We're in the process of coordinating with the cities of Yuma and Jackson Hole, Wyoming, which are going to do the same. We are also in the process of enforcing the customer service provisions of your code. There may be some additional actions that we have to report in the future as to our efforts for compliance. Whether we achieve compliance or not, I'm hoping we'll get their attention.
I hope so as well. Thank you.
May I ask a question?
Yes, please.
Betsy, do we know the total number of communities that are being impacted by this inaction?
We know generally the number of states. We know that in California, it is the Imperial Valley and the area around Crescent City. We know that Yuma and the area around Yuma is included. We know that the states of Wyoming, portions of Texas, Georgia, and a couple of East Coast states are included as well. It's a big area, and I'll point out this is the second time in 2 years this has occurred.
Thank you.
Madam Mayor, can I follow up with a comment?
Yes, please.
I just want to just briefly thank yourself, our mayor, for taking this on. This is obviously something that doesn't benefit our community, and so I do appreciate you following up, and also thank our legal team. Thank Ms. Betsy for really taking this situation on as well. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Okay, moving on. I will defer presentations and announcements by the mayor to the later time. Schedule public comments. The new ECPD employees, that has been deferred to a future meeting. But I do see, are you here for the Chamber of Commerce report, or?
It's like, yeah, sure.
I didn't either, but, you know, if you're in the house, then you're up next. Come on down.
He doesn't like the word short.
Because I live it and own it, so brief works.
I don't have a lot. I do want to thank you guys for the support and for showing up to the gala. It went off, even though we moved it. Saw all your smiling faces there. I thought it went off really, really well, all things considered. And so, as always, we just appreciate the support and you guys showing up for that. I do understand that you have a webinar tomorrow that you're doing,
Yes.
and Les kind of passed on and
Yes.
wanted to thank you for that, and that he's looking forward to that as well. And then we have our annual dinner, although it's a little ways off, but it's June 21st is the date, and the location will be determined.
Okay.
And other than that,
Questions or comments?
Just a brief comment. You know, I'd never been to that venue before, and the amount of work that you guys put into dealing with the unfortunate situation that we couldn't have it on base, but you guys took advantage of the situation and made such a great showing. It was a wonderful event. Everybody commented on how great it was. It seemed like you guys had months to plan to put it in that venue.
well, we appreciate it because we did it in about 4 days. So it was, I was very happy with both the turnout and the outcome of everything. But we appreciate your comments.
Appreciate the partnership with the chamber. Thank you for being here.
You as well. Thank you, guys.
Okay.
Thanks, Jeff.
Okay, next up, and with regard to that webinar real quick, for probably about the last 16 months or so, the League of California Cities and the county organization, or the statewide organization representing counties, has been working on a task force report on best practices to combat homelessness. The report was released by the League of California Cities and CSAC last week. And we are hosting a webinar here in this room that will be sponsored or put on by the League of California Cities tomorrow. And we've reached out and invited some of our community partners because we really do want to make this a regional effort, have everybody on the same book and page. I think we have the resources available here in the Valley. We certainly have the will and the desire and the talented people to do something about our homelessness issues, but we need to have some kind of synchronized approach where we're employing strategies and initiatives wisely to combat our homelessness issues. So we're kicking that off tomorrow here in the El Centro Chamber. So I'm moving on then to consent. Anybody want to pull anything off of consent? Take a motion then to approve items 2, 3, and 4. I have a motion by Mr. Garcia, second by Mr. Cardenas, and that passes 5-0. Moving on then to item number 6, which is a community sponsorship request from the Sure Crisis Helpline. And we have the executive director here, as well as a whole bunch of other really great people, and it'll be introduced. Liz, go ahead and kick this off for us, please.
Good
This is
evening,
item
Mayor
number
and
5.
council members. What I bring before you is another community sponsorship request on behalf of the Sure Crisis Helpline. They will be having an event on April 20th, and in your packet, we provided all the documentation. They've gone through the review, it's gone through the mayor's approval, and so I bring it before you for approval.
We see that Margaret is in the house. Margaret, did you want to add anything? It's always nice to see you.
Good afternoon. I'm Margaret Sousa with the Sure Helpline Crisis Center, and as you can see, I have a very good team.
Yay, thank you all for being
All
here.
the back line is all the people that work in the office, and we still have more. And I wanted to let you know, in case you didn't know, that Cheryl Walker is one of our nominees. She's going to be one of our Iron Women this year award, and we've got a lot of plans, and I think it's important that I tell you what it is that we do with the money that we get. I think it's very important. We started off because we wanted to fix the SART room. The SART room at the hospital was in dire need of repair, and it was old-fashioned, and it was very sad. And finally got it. It's beautiful. It's got some nice chairs, and nobody wants to be in that room, but at least it's nice and decent and clean with a nice windows and a nice TV for family members when they wait for their family. But what we do is that there's a lot of things that the community doesn't know. And I just want to give you just one example. And when a lady shows up at 2 o'clock because she wants to commit suicide, And you start talking to her, and what happens is that she's a VAWA recipient. She cannot leave the country, but she received a phone call that her mother is dead in Veracruz, wrapped in a sheet, and they will not release the body to the family members. So this woman that's there in our office wants to commit suicide because she can't run, she can't go see her mom, she doesn't have any money. So what we decided at that time to do this was because at that time we were able to put together $400 on a carne asada plate sale. And I discussed it with my staff, and the reason is because they put a lot of effort into it. And they okayed it. And then I called a couple of deep pocket friends, and I put some myself, and we managed to get her $700 before 4 o'clock. And Rosa was the one that went to Mexicali with all the information, and we sent the money over there. And see, these are things people don't find out about, but that do happen. And we are able when we can, and of course, a lot of these things take money. And so we have an account there that we do use for, that's just one example of what, from what we do get left. At the beginning, we didn't have hardly any funds left, but we've been very fortunate that they work with us at the LOHU, and we're able to get some funds. And so thank you very much, and I would like to have Joanna speak a little bit about it, please. And thank you very much for allowing us to be here.
Thank you.
Well, hello, my name is Joanna, and thank you so much for allowing us to be here today, just to share a little bit, of how this will really benefit the community. And just to start with, this event is great because a lot of the victims that we assist, they don't have money at the time when they're in a SART exam. And if we can provide a meal to them, $10 meal, then that means something to them. And that money either comes out of our pocket or, if it's through donations, then that would really help a lot. And we really sometimes don't imagine, us being in that position, but sometimes it happens to family members, it happens to people that we know, or, people that are close to us. And it's very important for us to get in that mentality where if that was to happen to someone that we know, what would we like for them to have, as an outcome? Maybe have supportive services, someone to be there to provide them a meal just after an 8-hour exam. And, it really means a lot for them, not just someone to be there right next to them to provide them a meal, to give them a ride home, and to follow up on services. Now, thanks to a lot of contributions from the community and outside, sometimes we provide them during these counseling services with even a Starbucks and some lunch. And so it really helps them and gets them motivated, and, just it means a lot for them, just simply a meal. So we really want to encourage you all to accompany us on April 20 and bring your family and friends. I'm sure you guys are going to have a wonderful time and, hopefully enjoy the dinner, the law enforcement modeling show that we're going to have as well. And so far, from my experience last year, it was really fun and great, and everybody had a great time. So in your packets, you will be able to see how the sponsorship works and, what are the benefits from it. And at the last part, it really means to help us create a safe environment for our children in our future community addressing sexual assault. And, we're very passionate about what we do, but we couldn't do this without you all. So thank you so much for allowing us to be here today, and we hope to see you on April 20 on our benefit people in crisis gala event. Thank you.
Very good, thank you.
Thank you.
So any questions or comments on this? So I am going to abstain on this item when we come forward. So,
Well, I'd
Go
just
ahead.
like to say briefly, I've attended the event before. I've worked with Margaret both professionally, I've known her socially, and they do great work. They're always in there helping people in the courts and assisting in situations where most people do not want to assist. They're a credit to the community, and I'm more than happy to vote yes to sponsor them, although I would like to see some of our officers in that fashion show. I can see
know.
one in the back right there. Maybe we can get a tuxedo for the dog and
So just to make sure we know, this is for a table of for $575.
Yes.
And that's how many tickets? 10. Okay, so I hope you guys are all there.
To
Yes.
support you, of course.
Okay.
Is your trophy gonna be small?
Stop it. Everybody gets the same size trophy. All right, that passed 4 with 1 abstention. Thank you. We'll see you on the 20th.
thank you very much
Okay.
for all your good
Thank
work.
you.
All right, Liz, item number 6, please.
So we have also received a community sponsorship request on behalf of San Diego State University for their event of the annual Taste of the Valley Scholarship Fundraiser, which is scheduled for April 6th. And I believe we have a brief presentation from Diana to come forward.
Good evening, Mayor, council members, Marcella, City of El Centro team. Thank you for having us here today, and thank you for giving us the opportunity to answer any questions about this event. Before I go into that, I do want to introduce one of our newest team members at the Development Office at San Diego State University, Yamil Flores.
I just want to say it's a pleasure to be here representing San Diego State University in Pearl Valley, and on behalf of the 5th Annual Taste of the Valley, it's an honor.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you.
So the reason this event was started, it's going to be 5 years now, was because the dean's office was looking for a way to raise money for scholarships. We are a state organization, and we receive funds from the state to run the university. But any money that would go to scholarships would need to be raised by the community itself. Anything that's raised, any needs that we have for any buildings or landscaping or anything, all that money needs to be raised by the community. So, for example, you've heard of San Diego West, all the development that's going to go on in San Diego. Those millions and millions of dollars that they raised they're not monies that are coming from the state. That was raised by the community in San Diego. So the Taste of the Valley fundraiser, all the money that is raised and that is left over after paying for for putting on the event goes directly to the scholarships. This is the 5th year, and Dr. Gregorio Ponce just recently, I don't know if you remember, if you noticed in the news, announced his new initiative of growing and transforming our community. And this is one of the events that is going to help us to really kick off his initiative. The long-term plans are to create new programs and to grow the university, but none of that is going to be possible if we don't raise enough money for scholarships. That's really the bottom line. A lot of we can create all the great programs and build new buildings, but if our residents can't afford to go, this is where the money is going to come from the scholarships. So I submitted sponsorship packet, and it tells you what comes with the packet. And so I'm here to answer any questions that you may have.
So I wanted to clarify for the council members, what I'm recommending is that we come in as a bronze sponsor, and then also, I believe that's only 2 tickets though, but then also we would purchase individual tickets for any council member that wanted to attend. And I believe the individual tickets are
$45.
So if you're interested in purchasing or having the city purchase an individual ticket for you, if you could get that information to Liz, and then we'll send one check. So that would be the one clarification on this item. Any questions for Diana?
No.
It's really a great event.
I was just going to ask if any of you have been to the event
Yeah.
before.
Yeah.
About every year.
It's beautiful.
Good.
And we do really appreciate, all of us value so much the SDSU campus here and the educational opportunities it provides for our kids. So
Thank you.
definitely be there.
You know, I do want to point out one more thing. Because of my background in small business, I mean, I walked into this, it was already started, and, you know, they already picked a theme. But it's amazing that these restaurants come in and they donate food for 300 people. This is their way of giving back to the community. And it's, for me, it's just amazing that happens. So when I asked the Chambers of Commerce if they would come together, the El Centro, Calexico, Brawley, and Hopeville Chambers, they were more than happy to come together also to help so that they could show their support for these small businesses throughout the Imperial Valley. So thank you very much.
Any other questions, comments? Okay.
I just think it's wonderful that we get together as a community, the restaurants, the businesses, and I think you're going to find it hard pressed to recommend a donation for scholarships and for people to say no.
Right.
I mean, clearly, we're looking after the children in our community that are moving forward, and we've had so many great students come out of that school, some sitting on this council.
The last text.
Fantastic. We'll go ahead and ballot, please. And that is approved, 5-0, and we will see you on April 6th.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you for being here. Okay, item number 7, appointment to Friends of El Centro Community Services Foundation Board of Directors. I think this is going to be a tag team with
Right.
Marcela and Mr. Cardenas.
Yes, do you want me? Okay. Good evening, Honorable Mayor, members of the council. The item before you is actually consideration to consider an appointment to the nonprofit agency that our city has to support library and parks and recreation efforts and programs. It is the Friends of the El Centro Community Services Foundation. We have, for the board of directors for this foundation, we have 5 board members. However, due to the change that occurred with both the library board and the Community Services Commission, we did experience vacancies on this board of directors for the foundation. Currently, as indicated in your staff report, we have 2 members that are active. That's Councilmember Alex Cardenas, which represents the city council. And we have Mr. Les Smith, who is currently a voting member of the Library and Community Services Board. In order to make changes to the bylaws of this foundation, in order to be able to expand and get the remaining members that we need for the foundation board, there's a need to appoint a 3rd member that needs to come from the Library and Community Services Board. And at this time, I'll pass it on to Councilmember Cardenas so he can expand on that.
Thank you, Marcela and Madam Mayor. So at this point, yeah, we are not able to function as a governing board because of the position that we have vacant on the board. So I am asking that we do take a look at this. We've actually received 2 very large donations, generous donations from our very own attorney to our foundation, and I want to personally thank her for those donations. But we do have some money, and again, the purpose of the Community Foundation is to supplement Parks and Recs, and we do have some monies there that we want to allocate and be supportive of our services. So, but at this point, we need to establish a governing body, and I do have a name for us, Madam Mayor, and I have spoken to Dr. Rich Ryan, and he has agreed, or in terms of being nominated as a board member. So, if appropriate, I would like to move that name forward and maybe again, if it's appropriate, I would love to see him serve on that board, and so that's the name that I would like to advance forward. And if the council's in agreement, we can get busy and get to work.
I think we all are very well acquainted with Dr. Ryan and his significant contributions to the valley. I think that's an excellent nomination.
Okay.
And apparently everybody else agreed, because that passed 5-0.
All right. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Okay, we are going to move on. Legislative actions, legislation. We have a couple of items that will be coming to the April meeting in support of SB1, as well as the lockbox legislation, which essentially says if any money is associated or raised with SB1, it goes to the purposes intended, which is roads and all of that good stuff. So those are going to be deferred to April, right? Okay. With regard to the two informational items, I did want to note the Dogwood Bridge fence and signage. I want to thank Abraham for bird dogging that, making sure that it's going to be in accordance with what we thought it was going to look like when we first approved it. So appreciate that. I did want to note, folks, with regard to item number 9, this is one of those come back to bite us a little bit. These funds for this Justice Assistant Grant currently in limbo, as I understand. And it's only $1 million, it's only $1 million for the entire state of California, but that's being held up by the feds because of, they don't like California. Do you want, is there another reason?
Because California is stupid? Oh, did I say that?
Yeah.
What's that?
What?
What? Did I say something?
No, I'm just saying. So anyway, I did have a question with regard to that. The amount of anticipated funding, I think, is about $12,000 or $13,000.
This item, yes.
Okay, so would the idea be we do not go forward with that purchase unless and until we receive these grant funds? Or we would purchase them if it turns out that the grant funding is not going to materialize?
Ideally, we'd like to purchase it with the grant funds as allocated. We haven't asked for these as a budgeted item in the next oncoming budget. There's an indication that they may get unfrozen at some point, but it doesn't look like it's going to be happening anytime soon.
Would it be appropriate if the city of El Centro sent a letter to Congress just saying that this is money that we really hope we can move forward and this is what we would intend to purchase it with?
That
or
would
purchase
probably
with it?
be on my purview.
No, I mean, would it, do you think it'd be helpful for the city council to do that?
It wouldn't hurt.
Okay. So can we direct the city manager, working with our city attorney, to write a letter of support? This would be directed to the Department of Justice, to the DOJ. Just ask that, and maybe CC our two, our senators and our congressmen, okay? And just ask that we unfreeze the money and send it our way.
Yeah.
Okay? What?
I'm just making just small talk
Stop.
over here.
Thank you for your diligence. I know that applying for these grant funds takes up a lot of time, and we appreciate that, and we'll keep our fingers crossed that it comes to fruition, okay? Thank you for being here. Okay, no business with successor agency, either with redevelopment or housing. I am going to announce now that this is a public meeting and that the city council welcomes your input. At this time, members of the public may address the city council on any matter not listed on the posted agenda pursuant to the Brown Act. No action will be taken on any issue brought forth under public comments. We ask that you please complete a speaker slip and submit it to the city clerk prior to the start of the meeting. Although you are not required to identify yourself, this information on the speaker slip does assist the mayor, that all persons wishing to address the council are recognized, and also assist the city clerk in preparing the city council meeting minutes. Unless the mayor extends the time, there is a 3-minute time limit for each public presentation. Of note, any information provided on the speaker slip is voluntary and will be public record. Do you have any members of the public that would like to address us? Any members of the private that would like to address us? I'm just kidding. Of course, it's nice to see you. Did you fill out a speaker slip? But you will, you can do it retroactively.
I appreciate that.
Okay.
Thank you, Mayor, and fellow council members, Marcela, and City Attorney. I wanted to introduce myself for those that I have not met. My name is Luis Fuentes. I'm a lifelong resident of Imperial County, born and raised in Calexico. My office has been in El Centro for maybe 16, 17 years. I had it in Imperial for a few years, and then I came back. Now I'm your neighbor, just
That's right.
2 blocks or 2
2 doors
businesses down. And I also wanted to just share with you that I will be seeking the candidacy for U.S. Congressional District 51.
Wow.
So I look forward to representing this area in Congress, and hopefully I can kind of give back to a community that's giving me so much, not including growing up, but just my family and business and friends. And so I just wanted to share that and
for those that don't know me, put a face to a name. Look forward to the elections and however way I can help once I'm there.
Perfect. Can you do something about this DOJ
That's
grant
what I
that
was
we?
just listening, I was taking notes. So, once I'm on there, I might be able to do something more. And I did promise, some folks that have asked me, I said, especially our elected officials, I'd like for them to have direct access to me for anything direct to my cell, not to a staffer or anybody else. So that's a promise I'm making to my community.
Very good.
Thank you.
Thank you for being here. Thank you. Okay, it is that time on our agenda where we will go forward with task force reports and mayor and council member reports. Let's start with Mr. Silva. How are things going with Dancing with the Stars, by the way?
Madam Mayor, you almost broke a record today.
I know. But for the Congress thing, I think. No, I'm just kidding.
I don't know. I think we're setting going. People are practicing, and it's really exciting. I think Mr. Garcia.
How's
here,
it going here?
It's just something else on the plate.
But
we want to win. We're going to be good competitive. Melissa is
Yeah.
very wonderful. She's poking and prodding. You know, she definitely wants to get stuff done.
I just wanted maybe a couple of things to the public and the council. Next week on March 15th is the summit
Right.
in Yuma, Arizona, that relates back to the mayor's summit in Mexicali. That'll be attended by representatives from Arizona, us here in Imperial Valley, California, Sonora, Mexico, as well as Mexicali. I'm happy to say that I will be representing both the city and also Imperial Valley College. I've been asked to present on a panel on education and economic and workforce development, so I'll be wearing both hats that day. Also, save a date for the council. I think Mayor Cardenas a year ago kind of committed us to hold a public safety summit.
Way to go, Alex.
That is going to include the same binational four-state. And I think it's really going to be a good thing.
It's
And,
gonna be fantastic,
We've had a
yeah.
couple of preliminary meetings with our fire chief and our police chief to kind of begin to conceptualize the agenda and what we're going to do. And we have kind of firmed up a date, and that'll be May 18th. We expect that to be an all-day event, that it'll be primarily at IBC. I think an IBC has the facilities and our police academy and our fire academy that I think will be able to highlight some of the things that we do. So I hope that the council is able to join us to this very important event for our communities. So.
Excellent, thank you.
Well, I don't have much to report. I did have the pleasure of attending a wonderful event called Winter Wonderland to benefit Women Haven, a local organization that we've given money to. And it was very well attended. It was a little cold, but it wasn't breezy, so that was very good. Kind of saved the event. It was a very well attended event, and there was a lot of money raised. I know that normally throughout the years they've set their numbers kind of low, and I believe they hit 4 times their number
Wow.
before even the silent auction was done. So they raised a tremendous amount of money, and it was just very well attended. The next day, I had the pleasure of being a judge at the Tri-Tip Cook-Off thrown by the City of Imperial.
Woo.
They're doing a very good job.
Their downtown's beautiful.
It was very, very well attended. There were a lot of people. I saw a lot of people from El Centro there. Definitely spent a lot of time walking around. But yeah, I don't want to see a tri-tip for some time now. But after that, we've just been at the fair.
Yep, absolutely. Okay.
As I've seen many of our residents at the fair.
That's right.
And their kids.
Yep. March Madness. I keep calling it March Madness, but it seems like it's High School Madness. I'm like, okay. Mr. Jackson.
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor. Only had a couple items. Actually, this morning, I was able to read and take part in the Leaders or Readers, the 6th Annual Reading for America, and read to a class of kindergartners at Dogwood School. And if you've never done that, it's a great thing to do. The kids really love it, and they have lots and lots of questions. And I read One Fish, Two Fish to the kids. And of course, then I had the best question was when there's a couple of characters in the book. There's a Gox and there's a what's the other one?
Pink?
There are locks?
Yank or something, or Yank. So they wanted to know why we don't have those in Imperial Valley.
Oh.
And I did look at the teacher, thinking that she was going to help me.
Right.
Yeah, I was
No
out. I
lifeline
was on
there?
the island all by myself on
Yeah,
that one. So, but yeah, it's interesting because the kids have some really great questions. Other than that, I want to talk a little bit about the Mayan Hotel. I want to commend our staff. I know Alex was out there with me, and we were able to. I know I went out there to support our staff. I think we did an amazing job under a very difficult and unfortunate circumstance. And I want to publicly say that Norma and Anna and all the staff that we've had out there. I know you guys have worked on that for 2 years, trying to get compliance from that gentleman. It's unfortunate, though, those people were forced to live in those conditions. And you never want to see a situation like that happen. But I think that the coordination from the city with all the different agencies, Red Cross is there, the county had different departments that were there, Christ Community Church was on site, there's social services, a lot of different agencies. I see Jessica's in the audience, and her organization was out there supporting it too. And we've had, and it's one of those things where it's a mixed bag of comments from the community. Unfortunately, I think that it's one of those things where a lot of facts aren't really truly known, and you have two sides of the story. But I want to say publicly from the city, I thought we handled a very difficult situation very, very well, and I want to commend our staff for that. So, thank you.
Yeah, I want to piggyback on Councilmember Jackson's comments. I was also there, and I do want to acknowledge Spread the Love for providing supplemental services there and just being compassionate to these folks and helping them out with their housing needs. But I do have to wholeheartedly agree with Councilmember Jackson. I want to thank Norma Villacana. You were just rocking out there as far as coordinating the efforts. Central PD, Fire, Public Works, very collaborative effort. Abraham, it's very unfortunate, but when it comes to public safety, that is the absolute priority, and I do want to thank staff for making that happen and then providing the supplemental services wrapped around it. So you have an amazing department, Ms. Villacana, and please pass on our comments to your staff and everything that you've done. In addition to that, also attended a professional workshop that was held by our planning department. Anna attended this, or put together a leadership workshop that was available to countywide stakeholders. The place was jam-packed, and it's just really amazing to see our planning department show leadership in the community. But they did have a leadership conference. I know Marcella was there, Diana and Norma, but it was regarding leadership and talking about disengaged employees and how to get them engaged and the impact. So the fact that our planning department is a leading agency in providing professional development opportunities in our community is awesome. So special thanks again to Ms. Villacana for your leadership on that. In addition, was able to attend the ICTC public hearing regarding unmet transit needs. It was also hosted by the city of El Centro. A lot of public comment, a lot of praises for the services, some challenges as well, especially in some of the rural areas. Did share the article in the newspaper that you gave me, Madam Mayor, and none of them had seen it, so they were very grateful to have those comments in regards to some of the social security challenges and transportation-related issues. So a lot of it came out in terms of some unmet needs. In addition, there's just some discussions about ICTC, especially when it comes to medical transportation not being payment-friendly. A lot of the transactions are done in cash with 48-hour advance notice. So some of the comments related to that were that it needs to be a little bit more payment-friendly. So the hearing's going to be followed up with some recommendations. And so I do want to thank you for allowing me to participate in that. Then real quick, I just wanted to share, Councilmember Silva and I sat down with ICOE, Dr. Fennell and Todd Evangelist and Ms. Piedra and talked a little bit about Mona Vista Park. And that is moving obviously from concept to actual proposal. Marcella provided excellent content expertise in that area. And I just wanted to share real quick, Madam Mayor, if I may, you know, this business about, hey, we're gonna maintain the park and that kind of stuff sounds, you know, great, but we asked them some very, very tough questions. To give you a perspective, we spend about $1.5 million on 40 acres of park. So we shared that data with them. So they're looking at a 60 acre park that's probably gonna cost about $2 million a year to provide maintenance on. So both myself, Councilmember Silva and Marcella were saying, how are you gonna deal with this? And so they took that information back. And I believe we're gonna be having some recommendations coming forth. And but those discussions are now kind of narrowing down with some cost analysis. And so hopefully when we bring that back in April, there'll be some very strong data in terms of the feasibility of that project. So, but we let them have it and just made sure that we wanted to know that they knew what they were getting into. But I do appreciate that. And then the last thing I wanted to share, I also participated in Read Across America, and it was fun. I had to eat some green eggs and ham. But the eggs are okay. The ham was, I think it was really green. But it was fun, you know, reading this to these kids, and it's one of my favorite books. And and the last thing was that I did throw out the first pitch at the El Centro Little League. Thanks for letting me do that. There's a new president out there who's doing a good job, and so I made it to the plate and threw out that first pitch. So thank you very much.
Fantastic.
Madam Mayor, real quick, and
Yes.
I think Alex would agree with me when Frank is always the one that likes
Oh,
to
yeah.
hide back there, but Frank, you were instrumental in everything that took place at the Mayan, and also Betsy from the legal standpoint of, you know, trying to coordinate all the legal sides, and I know we're still working on that, but I want to also call those two out for all their work on that situation.
So since our last meeting on the 22nd, 23rd, I did attend the board meeting for the League of California Cities in Redondo Beach. And then on the 24th was the Juvenile Justice Commission Youth Summit, which was very well attended. On the night of the 27th, Mr. Silva and I spent, what was it, like 4 hours at the ECRMC Strategic Planning Session out at the Fairfield Inn. I think the city should think about doing that, maybe just
That was
have
very well done.
Yeah, it was very well done, and maybe we do that with our next Measure P, just do a roundtable somewhere, and that's the only thing we talk about. ICTC, I did attend the ICTC meeting on the 28th. Abraham, thank you for giving me the names of the folks that assisted us with the landscaping. I brought that up to the acting, was it Corey Briggs? Is he the acting director right now? He was very appreciative that we recognized the employees. I thought it was kind of interesting. They were not aware of the new Flex Bus that has filed application with the PUC to provide bus service from here to San Diego as well as here to LA. So provided them with our copy of the Flex Bus PUC filing. I wanted to get some dates on your calendar. They announced at the ICTC meeting that the General Assembly and Economic Conference will be, Pearl Valley General Assembly and Economic Summit, excuse me, will be the night of May 30th and then all day on the 31st.
Where's that going to be?
It is going to be, I suggested out at the old Eucalyptus, but last year I think they had it out at Club Luhu, so I'm not sure yet, but set those dates aside if you would, please. Also had a meeting with Meredith Garcia with our Small Business Development Group, suggested that she do a walk around downtown to see how maybe she could help us with some of the issues that we're confronting there, as well as our industrial park, in terms of if she has clients that maybe could use those facilities over there. Recommended that she think about doing a customer service workshop, especially for retail folks, on what good customer service is all about. I think that IVC used to do a customer service workshop, but haven't seen that lately, so thought that would be good. Last Thursday, I was at Los Angeles all day at the Southern California Association of Governments. And then I think, was it Friday, Marcella, you and I met with the former manager at the Valley Center, whatever they call that,
Center Point Shopping Center.
who's come to us with a proposal. We're trying to see if he wants to sign an NDA and let us know what's what on that. As we already mentioned, we talked about the homelessness task force report, the webinar. What time is that tomorrow?
At 1.
At 1 o'clock. So I'm hoping that someone from council will be here. I'm actually going to be in Sacramento as part of a legislative trip sponsored by SCAG. I've got 9 meetings scheduled between 9:45 and 4 o'clock tomorrow. So it's going to be a busy day. Also, kudos to staff. I agree with regard to that Mayan Hotel. That was a nasty situation. It's gonna, I appreciate the preview of coming attractions when I was on the ride-along with Officer Thompson. He was gracious enough to take me in there and show me what's what. I showered for 4 days after being in there. But I think we had no choice. We really did need to move forward with that. I also want to thank Abraham and Liz and City Manager for the responsiveness with regard to the El Centro Transfer Terminal. From time to time, we get these really long emails from Kathy Williams at ICTC talking about what's happening at the transfer terminal, and we have a response within a nanosecond as to we're there, we're on it, notified that the flag's missing. Toddler, here's the good part though. So it looks pretty clean, bathrooms are fully functional, small amount of graffiti that can be cleaned up, but we observed several toddler children playing tag around a bench. In addition, we observed a couple with a severely disabled son in a wheelchair sit and enjoy the air for a bit. The facility is more safe and friendly, even for persons who are not using the facility to catch a bus. So I think that putting the security guard in there was absolutely the right thing to do, and we'll look to ICTC to continue to fund that for another year. So I think that that's it.
Juvenile justice?
Oh, juvenile justice, yes.
You want to tell us about it?
What would you like to say?
No, I mean, I didn't go. I thought you were there, right?
I was there. For the youth summit?
Yeah,
Oh,
you-
the
yeah.
youth summit
I'm
was
sorry, youth summit.
amazing. I also had a juvenile justice meeting on
Oh.
Monday, but you meant the youth
Yeah,
summit.
I'm sorry.
Extraordinarily well attended, and so the actor Noel G.
Victor.
Hector of Fast and the Furious?
Yeah.
Okay, so it's Hector and Fast and the Furious, but the clip that they showed at the youth summit was the one where Jim Carrey plays God, right? And he's one of the gang members down the alley that actually
Yeah.
has a monkey fly out of his rear parts. Anyway, they showed that on the screen, and of course, that really resonated with the kids, right? The kids thought that was absolutely hilarious. So he gave a very inspirational presentation to the kids. I think they had like 200 children from throughout the valley who were in placement or somehow are touched by juvenile probation. So that was really remarkable. One of the other things that's coming out of the Juvenile Justice Commission, and I'm really, really thankful for this, they're going to take somewhere between 35 and 40 kids up to Cal State San Marcos on Friday. And Cal State San Marcos has made its mission, one of its outreach efforts is for kids who come out of the foster care system. So we're going to have a bunch of our kids go up there to visit that location, and I feel really good about that. So I think that's, anybody else have any great news to share? Okay, I've got an early plane to catch, so this meeting is adjourned. Thank you all very much.